January 6th insurrection site to campaign yesterday. Will it be a major factor when people go out to vote for her?
Yes, the presidential race is surely heating up. Madison Square Garden versus Capitol Hill. Now, Capitol Hill was a very strategic location. What happened on 6th Jan 2020 at Capitol Hill is unprecedented. This kind of violence, post polls, a violence which a lot of people believe was incited by Donald Trump, who was president then, who refused to take the electoral loss with grace and dignity. And then the supporters were Trump supporters, and instead of trying to send out any sort of message, make a statement telling them not to be violent, he kind of was complicit by silence, you can say, just like you have guilty by association, but in a way complicit by silence. And that is what a lot of lawsuits thereafter have also spoken about. So, Kamala Harris being at that location was actually invoking in people's memory what happened there, because I don't think any American, whether their political leanings be Republican or Democrat, was ever supportive of what happened. Uh, it this this it linked Donald Trump specifically to what happened that day. In my mind, I don't know if other voters, other audience members were also viewing it that way. So standing on Capitol Hill ellipse and making her closing argument as a presidential candidate up against Donald Trump was a, I would say, a very strategic move by Democrats in the run up to the elections.
Right. Well, Donald Trump was in Pennsylvania yesterday, the swing state that was won by Biden in 2020 by a razor thin margin. Will the assassination bid incident get Trump the sympathy that he's been asking for?
Democrats have spent considerable time in swing states. In fact, three of these states flipped from Democrat to Republican in 2016, and then Biden managed to flip them back to Democrats in 2020. So let's look at the latest polls of what it shows in Pennsylvania. Emerson survey shows that Trump has about 49% of voters, while Harris has 48. Bloomberg says Trump has 48.2 and Harris has 50%. Pennsylvania has historically leaned Democrat. Since 1998, Pennsylvanians have picked Democrats until 2016, when they actually picked Donald Trump. So, given going by the numbers, Trump does not seem to have a huge advantage because of the shootout that happened at his rally, which was in Pennsylvania. But at the same time, we don't see a very clear edge for Kamala Harris as well in the swing states.
Right. Well, there is also a war of words between Trump and Biden and Harris over immigration and the Puerto Rico vote. Will this sway the migrant votes one way or the other?
So, if we compare the two speeches, Donald Trump has said he is going to evict immigrants. His stance seems to be specifically against illegal immigrants, violent immigrants with violent backgrounds. And what Kamala Harris again has said, that yes, she would also deport immigrants who are specifically involved in crime, and that does not go only against immigrants. Anybody involved in a crime against American citizen is subject to a judicial process. So, Trump has spoken of deporting large number of people, whereas Kamala Harris has cited a judicial solution as and when a situation arises. Uh, Trump's legacy on tough immigration was panned when he was in the office, because it's remembered for what it did to families. It separated families, and that was the biggest criticism that his program drew. However, Harris seems to be presenting a more rational view at the moment, but the immigration problem is more complex than that. It changes from state to state. It also changes from how each citizens of each different state perceive immigrants and perceive what it does to their social, cultural, and fiscal resources. So it's not a straightforward answer as far as the immigrant point about immigrants goes, the issue about, as far as the issue about immigration goes, well, we have to see what exactly the people are subscribing to.
Right, and how are the Americans reacting to the garbage commentary in the final days ahead of the US polls from Puerto Rico being called a floating island of garbage to Biden calling Trump supporters in Puerto Rico garbage as well?
Okay, at Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden, we had comedian Tony Hinchcliffe called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Now, definitely that has not gone down well with Puerto Rican immigrants, people of Puerto Rican descent. Celebrities like Bad Bunny and Ricky Martin have actually slammed what the comedian said. Now, conveniently, the Trump campaign and Trump himself has distanced from these remarks. He has categorically said that, well, the campaign put out a statement saying that those were the views of the comedian and they don't necessarily ascribe or subscribe to it. At one point, Trump has even said, who is this guy? Why should we bother so much about him? As far as the vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance goes, he's also tried to make light of the entire speech at Madison Square Garden. So, if you see how that impacts Latino voters, let's say until September, more voters backed Harris. 36 million strong vote base. That is what the Latinos bring to the table. And historically, they have tended to vote for Democrats. But in October, however, Donald Trump seemed to have gained marginal ground. So from 39%, he now has 40% vote share. So he seemed to be making some headway with the Hispanic and Latino voters. But this remark again has given a chance to his critics, given a chance to pro Democrats to highlight that Trump is not standing with this particular community, this particular group of people, this particular ethnic group of people. So recently, after the rally at Madison Square Garden, Trump was in Pennsylvania. He was in one of the parts of Pennsylvania which has a majority of Hispanic and Latino population. And he also got an endorsement from the local leaders. So all is not lost yet for Trump, but well, this remark has definitely not gone down well across sections of society.
Well, Democrats have targeted Trump, called him a Nazi, a racist, fascist. Are Americans buying this description?
Well, American voters are used to Trump's barbs even when he was outside of office, right